These are great projects. So there's the future of housing.
Well, we'll call to order the Miami Special Utility Authority for January 6th. One note, Mayor Schultz won't be here tonight. He's got a personal matter to attend to. I want to ask our Pastor Rick Longcrier of the First Baptist Church to do our invocation.
Let's pray together. Father, you know that it's a new year, and you know that what the new year holds, whether that's full of victories or defeats or challenges, I'm sure that will be abundant as they always are. And so, Father, I just ask that you would give these city leaders the wisdom and the patience and all the insight that they need for this coming year. And Father, just pray for a great year and pray for a great community. And Father, may you just continue to bless it and continue to make it a safe and a great place to live and to serve you. So Father, we just ask you for those things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ray.
You join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ben. Item 4, public input and unscheduled personal appearances. Anybody wish to address the Special Utility Authority? None. Consent agenda. Staff is recommending items 6 through 11. Nobody wants anything pulled out. I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion. Second.
Forrester,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye. Item 12, other new business. Jeff? Jeff Dean.
Wow.
I'll let you get by with that.
One time. One time.
We've known each other for years. We can do that.
He'll pay me back, trust me.
No, Your Honor, there isn't.
13 staff reports. Any questions for staff? Have none. 14 trustee community announcements. Guys have anything? 15 future agenda planning. Dean?
Not on this agenda, no.
16 adjournment.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Forrester,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Alrighty.
Call to order the Miami Special Utility Authority for January 6th. We'll have a little bit of reversal here. We're going to 2 first. Item 1, public hearing on submission of grant application to Oklahoma Department of Tourism and Recreation for a land and water conservation grant to construct a splash pad at Rotary Park. Does anybody wish to address the council? Tyler?
As part of our application, we have to have a public hearing to just talk about the splash pad. So this will be fulfill that part of the application. And Jamie's going to talk just a short bit about the splash pad.
All right, as you know, we're trying to get a grant for the splash pad. We're going to have it at Rotary Park. It's kind of centralized locations where we're looking at right now. The good thing is the infrastructure is already there. I mean, we've got a wading pool. We'll actually get rid of the wading pool. So we have the water, electric's already buried. We've got bathrooms. We've already got playground equipment. We've got a walking track there. So everything's there, centralized. It's right now. It's good. Looking for a good location for it. So it's actually what we're actually wanting to get. It's going to be for $583,650. Now, in kind of that would be $93,300 on us. The cash match for us would be $198, $198,525, and the grant request for them would be $291,825 for the total of $583,650. So.
How long would it take to construct one of those splash pads?
It's going to take about a year.
About a year?
Yeah, with the demolition on ours on the in-kind would be we'd be tearing out the wading pool, prepping everything. Now we would hire a company to come in and do the concrete work and all that.
And the city would go ahead and do the rest of the plumbing, electric?
Yes, that'd be all on the in-kind.
Is that included in the price?
That's included in the price. So,
Jamie, was this the same size we talked about here 2 or 3 years
yes,
ago? The
exact
same size?
Yep, same size. It's actually going to be just a tad bit bigger, but also it's going to include the basketball court that's there. We'd actually be taking that out and making it a parking lot. So we'd have more parking there for everybody.
Is this going to be a recirculated?
No, it's going to be a feed through. Which right now with our wading pool there, it's roughly around 18,000. We drain it daily anyways during the summer months. So we're actually going through about 380,000 gallons of water a month. Groves, they say that it's about 100,000 gallons, 1 million gallons that they go through a month at Groves. So I mean, we're almost there anyways.
Has Grove give you any idea on the traffic that is through those throughout the summer?
It's big. Yeah, we actually went to Skytook and a bunch of other places, and they are really blooming. Everybody's going to them. That's a big new thing.
Will we be staffing that with lifeguards?
No, that's the other good thing. There would be no chemicals. We wouldn't have to have chemicals involved as far as chlorinating it all day long. And then also we would not have to have a lifeguard on duty. What it is the kids come up, push a button, then each one has its own little station that'll spray the water out, and then they're all on timers. So as that one quits, the other timer kicks in, they'll run over to that one. And you can program it however you want it.
So after a certain time at
It
night,
shuts off.
all
Yep, shuts off all by itself.
My recollection a couple of years ago, it was in fact costly, because it seemed like it was in the $300,000 range.
It was, but with everything else, as it's increased over the years, it's all went up. So,
Can you go ahead, Doug?
When do you think you'll hear back on the grant?
June would be about when they would let us know. We had to have it in by the 31st of January.
Sure.
They'll let us know by June.
How many current wading pools are we staffing right now?
We got two. We got
This
one
would
in,
reduce one.
this will reduce one. We still have Tolberts. Then also we got a kiddie pool at the main pool.
Do we have money budgeted for something?
That would be,
We're gonna put it in for the capital improvement for next fiscal year, because we wouldn't start till next year.
And 198 would be our part.
Correct.
yes, $198,525.
More questions?
How many different features are you planning on this specific
We're
pad?
going to have quite a few. There's going to be probably around 10 to 15.
And that's one reason that the cost
This went up a little bit more.
Yeah, and we added to like the concrete, because it's pretty detailed as far as getting the proper slope so the water drains and it's not puddling or anything like that, so.
What's the big deal on that is the cryptosporidium. You have to have there can be no standing water. So that's the main thing that we're going to hire the company to come in and do all the concrete work. So kids cannot get sick from the cryptosporidium.
Is that company Power Play?
Yeah, there's one of them. There's several other different ones that we could go through.
How much parking will we have? With
Which we got two parking lots there now, but it'll increase the size of the basketball court, which I'd have to get with the engineering to see how many places we would get out of the basketball court, which will actually tear all that out and make it a concrete.
I'll be the first to say that, and it's never been no secret that I support having something like this in our community. I have two small children that I travel outside of our community to enjoy Groves, and unfortunately, before I leave Grove, I spend money there. I don't want to not think this is a great idea because of the size. I think, you know, I've always heard we're going to build it big and it'll be nice. I don't, and I'm not opposed to that, but the size is what you make of it. If that size is too big, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, there's always the chance that it can be smaller. I ain't saying that's what we should do, but I'm just saying that I don't want to be opposed to it because of that. I've done a little bit of research, and I've visited with the guy at Power Play and talked with him, and you can make it however you want by however many different spouts that you add to it, how many water features per se. So I think there's some people in the community that would, without speaking with names, that support this, because I've talked to quite a few that would, they're very supportive of this. So that being said, I think it's a great idea. I've always pushed for it. Something that you can give our kids in this community to do other than, the big pool or the little pool that's, next to it. I got a 5-year-old that, he struggles to wanting to be in the big pool, and it's too big for him, and the little pool's not fun enough for him. So this would offer that void. So, and I think there's a lot of other kids in town that are the same. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, we're kind of the idea of moving Miami forward. This is progressive. It's a good idea. I'd support it.
Yeah.
You bring other people in town too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I do have one question, Tyler. I'm not trying to throw you for a loop here, but I'm very much in favor of this too, and I've helped develop these in the past, and these are wonderful for a community. If at a later time after we submit our application, a better site appears, would we have any flexibility to look at that other side?
We've been kind of talking to them about it.
Okay.
So, because we if we did have a better site come open.
I mean, I grew up literally playing in Rotary Park my life, so I know that park very well. It's a great park and it'll be a nice addition, but there may be some other locations that might come available to us in the not too distant future that might serve the community a little bit better.
Yeah, this is not, at the Rotary Park is not set in
Put
stone.
up that we could possibly have a backup location in our application.
Right. I would encourage that we do that. So if we can, if it does, I don't want to put anything in jeopardy for this, because I'm very much in favor of it. But I think a little flexibility as some of our other projects come to fruition, this might be something that we'd want to take a look at about a different location. But I think having this park it would be a wonderful thing for this community.
Agreed.
That all going?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Jamie. Is there anyone else that'd like to come up and talk about this? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Item 3, public input and unscheduled personal appearances. Anybody want to come up? Consent agenda. Staff is recommending 5 through 16. I am going to ask that item 9 be pulled out. If nobody else wants anything pulled out, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Forrester,
Aye.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
I'm sure.
David, I understand you had a correction, and I'd also like for you to, if you would, please, sir, to go over the dates and everything.
Be happy to, Your Honor. The correction was relatively minor. It was a clarification as to the term length of the terms to be filled at the upcoming general municipal election. There was essentially a typo on a date and a year. We've corrected that. What you have before you, council members, is the sort of resolution that we typically put before you every time a general municipal election is coming up. In the upcoming general municipal election, which will be held on the first Tuesday in April, the unexpired term of the Ward 1 or Northeast Ward seat by statute has to be filled by an election. And the seats for wards 3 and 4 are up for a full term election. The resolution is something that we always run by the county election board in advance to make sure that we don't, or we hopefully won't have any snags as it goes through that sort of filtering process and makes its way to the ballot form. We've done that. We haven't heard any negative feedback. I suppose what I can tell you about dates would be that the the nonpartisan general election for these 3 seats, and that is the unexpired term of the Northeast Ward, called Ward 1, and the full 3-year terms of Wards 3 and 4. That election will be held on Tuesday, April 7th, 2015, and shall be conducted by the Ottawa County Election Board. The period for filing a declaration of candidacy with the Ottawa County Election Board office in Miami, Oklahoma shall be Monday, February 2nd, Tuesday, February 3rd, and Wednesday, February 4th, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. The withdrawal and contest period shall be Thursday, February 6th, and Friday, February 7th, 2015, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. in the Ottawa County Election Board office in Miami, Oklahoma. The form of the resolution explains in significant detail the various statutory and charter provisions which govern the conduct of this election. That's certainly available to the public should anyone want to see it. Other than that, are there any questions that I can answer for the council?
I have none.
I have none.
So we just need approval for the corrected.
The version on the table, yes.
Okay, I would make that motion to approve.
I second.
Johnson,
Aye.
Forrester,
Aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
I mean, Weston.
We're getting names mixed
Right,
up.
aren't I?
Names are having troubles tonight, aren't we? Okay, item. I'll get the right one here.
17.
13.
No,
No,
17.
17. You're right.
Yes,
You're right.
17.
Agreement with Tetra Tech.
This is the agreement that I think you would have expected to see before you, and there was a previous discussion about appropriating some funds for further flood studies using more up-to-date modeling techniques. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
This is getting in preparation for the fact that the GRDA in all probability will be asking for changes in the rule curve in relationship to Grand Lake and Grand Lake's elevation. And we're wanting to make sure that we have our own studies done. As I've indicated in the past, we really want to talk about this in relationship to the science, and the study will give us that type of information that we need when we are part of that process in relationship to GRDA's request.
And this is Mussetter. Is that?
Yes, sir.
This is Bob Musseter, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
He's done work for us before. He's probably one of the top in his field nationally, and is a very
good.
good person to be able to work on this, yes.
Very good.
This is a very similar proposal to the one you saw in 2013, Mr. Musseter.
Yeah. Okay.
And no
You
further
need-
discussion, I'll motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Forrester,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye. Item 18, job description review and audit contract with R.J. Gallagher and Company. Christie, thank you.
Yes. As we talked about before the holidays, that following up the compensation system that was put in place, we would do some work on job descriptions and performance management. So these next 2 items are in relation to that. The first one is the job description analysis and FLSA audit that Gallagher would come in. As the slide says, this is foundational to the compensation and performance management system. Our goal is to make sure that we've got accurate job descriptions in our system, and that our employees, both current and future state, understand what they're accountable for, so that we can have good performance management and know what they should be doing on both sides.
I know you and staff have been working very hard on this. It's been a long process.
Well, not only this item, but the following item
Right.
are very much related to this, to make sure that we are following through with what we're needing to do in relationship to our job descriptions, that they're accurate, that the hard work that was started long before I got here to make sure that we have fair and adequate compensation continues. And then the second item then is to make sure that we do have a good job description, goals and objectives, and especially evaluations of our employees in the future. By having both of these contracts in place, we can get this done quickly, because we want to have this in place, have it operating throughout 2015, so that at the end of the year, we're able to follow up as we promised you,
When would this start taking place?
just right away.
Yeah, I've been having ongoing conversations with Leora, which is our HR consultant with Gallagher, and she has sent me a timeline to review as far as how this would kick off, but it would start the third week in January. And it'll
It'd be fully implemented by the third week.
No, this will be the start of it. It'll be meetings with all the department heads, going over the job descriptions and with a fine-tooth comb, and then having some employee conversations as far as what are you doing and what your job description says that you're doing, and making sure that those are accurate.
Time frame for completion, though, I think is what everybody was wondering.
Oh, I'm sorry. It'll be the middle of February. I'm saying probably closer to the end of February. There'll be a process in there of, she'll do a first draft, and then it'll come back and we'll have a chance to have input, and then it'll go back, just to make sure that our employees don't come back and say, I wasn't talked to about this, or I wasn't able to give input. We want to make sure that we're listening to both sides.
We don't want to spend the year talking about setting it up. We want to spend
Yeah.
the year having it in place and working.
So you'll have the employees as well as supervisors as well as HR looking at that,
All working together on it.
getting it.
The idea is to make sure that we have a shared contract for accountability. And this is the first step in the contract, is making sure that the employees understand for the role that they have, this is what they're accountable for. And the first step in doing a good performance evaluation is that there is a clear understanding of what the employee is supposed to do for the role that they're in.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be exciting.
And we've already had initial discussions with our employees when we were implementing before the end of the year. So we've already had some initial group discussions.
They know it's coming.
What Christy's talking about is really getting into the details.
Well, if there's no further discussion, I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Weston,
Aye.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Forrester,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye. Actually,
Don't do that to me, Jeff.
that didn't require a motion, did it? That's just a review.
No, there's a contract.
No, there's
There's not-
contract. You're
contract.
approving the contract.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a contract.
Well, I ain't got to 19, but I guess we can go ahead and,
Well, you were just approving the job analysis.
Okay.
That's- you're
Now
gonna
we're
gotta
going to
make
talk
it
about
now.
so the first step is getting the job descriptions
Okay.
correct. And then comes the second step, which is this next item, is the performance management system. So with good job descriptions, all employees will go through a training program on performance management, understanding how to give performance evaluations and understanding how to receive performance evaluations. And that's what this next piece is dealing with.
Both
Okay.
item 18 and 19 would require a vote one way or the other if you were going to act.
Right.
Because they're two separate contracts.
Okay.
Two separate contracts.
okay,
And it's also starting in January.
okay.
It'll be a longer process because there's going to be training involved, and we will make sure that every employee gets through the training, and the training doesn't stop there. So ongoing, our employees in HR will be trained on how to give this performance management training. So every quarter, as new employees are hired, they will go through the same training that all the other employees have gone through.
And what's Dave, finish up with that as far as get everybody through that.
It'll be 6 months from start to finish. But during that time, we will be doing performance evaluations. So part of the training is actually doing the performance evaluations, HR reviewing the performance evaluations with department heads and employees, making sure that we're all looking at them the same way. So it's a very detailed, involved process, but it's foundational and going forward in the expectation that from day one, when you come to work at the city, we expect excellent performance, and that's what you will be evaluated on.
By the end of this year, when we are making salary adjustments, it will be based on evaluations.
Yeah.
Good.
Was we in the middle of a vote, or?
No,
You already got it?
You're ready for this vote now.
Okay. Item 19, contract for performance management system and staff training with R.J. Gallagher. So we just need a motion on that.
Motion approved.
Second.
Sharbutt,
Aye.
Forrester,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Item 20, fee waiver resolution, Civic Center gym rental agreement with NEO College for the NEO tournament January 22nd to 24th. Coach Patterson, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing?
I'm doing good.
Everybody having a happy new year?
Yes, sir.
Good.
And so did I. Sure glad, I'd love to see the grandkids show up, but those tail lights look good too. I came to, as you know, the NEO basketball tournament's coming up here 2 weeks from Thursday, January 22nd, 23rd, 24th. At this time, we have 48 teams. We went to 48 teams about 4 or 5 years ago. 24 women's teams, 24 men's teams. We'll be playing in 4 gyms, the Civic Center, we hope, the college gym, the SAC, as well as Miami High School's gym, the MAC. We've got a really exciting tournament this year. We got several teams coming in that are new. For example, we are excited about Edmond North is coming this year to be in the tournament. Western Heights out of Oklahoma City are coming for the first time. We got Roland. Roland's been here for years, and they're coming back. Second Hotel Guthrie, Manette, Missouri's coming in. Coweta's a new team we have this year. So we've got several new teams as well as the local teams that are coming in. We did a little research, and we have last year we sold a little over 4,000 tickets for this tournament, a 3-day tournament, and then on top of that we handed out 1,200. Passes to coaches, players, cheerleaders, managers, trainers that came in. So this tournament brings in, we think, right around 5,000 to 6,000 people in the community. So it's a big thing, and I think this is about our 70th year to have the tournament in NEO. So we're asking to use the Civic Center, asking to waive the fees, and so we can hold our tournament there. Any questions anybody has about the tournament?
It's a great event.
Well, I think you look at it, it's hard to get in. A lot of the restaurants and a lot of the hotels are full. One thing about these good teams coming in, we've had more and more of them staying in the hotels here in the community. It really helped, I think, in our revenue as far as that goes. So.
There's no questions. I'd make a motion to approve the fee waiver.
I'll second that motion.
Johnson,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Sharbutt,
Aye.
Forrester.
Aye.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Item 21, ordinance and public hearing, therefore, on the recommendation by the Planning Commission to rezone the property at O Street Southwest and 20th Street Southwest from R6 to RM2 for Four Corners development. I want to ask Chuck to come up first, and then we'll open up a public hearing if that's appropriate.
Thank you. What I want to do is kind of just go through the timeline of how we got to this point. And as you mentioned, there will be a public hearing for citizens to make comment tonight on this issue. But I just want to kind of go through the timeline of how we got here tonight. Back in October, Four Corners applied for the building of 20 duplexes, a community building, and storm shelter. The property that they were proposing this development is zoned single-family residential. So response to them back was that that property had to be rezoned from multifamily or RM2 zoning. Then in November 20th, we had a public notice from the city clerk identifying that there would be, the planning commission would be holding a meeting on December 11th, followed by the city council on December 16th. The proofs of publications were received on November 26th for those meetings. Again, advertising to the public that these meetings would be coming up. On December 10th, we received notice that it was not our city meeting, but there was a meeting the developers held at a local restaurant talking about the development. On that same date, the city received a petition, and this is in your packets, of protest, and this was also giving to the Planning Commission. Citizens filed, a number of them signed a petition in protest of this rezoning. On the regular scheduled meeting, the Planning Commission met and reconvened on, we had a meeting on December 18th. Again, those meeting minutes are all in your packets. On December 15th, the public notice issued indicating the City Council will conduct a hearing to consider the City Planning Commission recommendations to rezone the said property, and that was on December 18th. Again, they reconvened their meeting on December 18th, and at that meeting, there's presentations done, comments made, and the recommendation from the Planning Commission to the City Council was a 3-2 vote in favor, recommending the rezoning go forward. And that's kind of the timeline we're at now for this. I just want to kind of go through that, and it's my understanding that all the public notices and the meetings were done in the proper order, and just wanted to go through that with you tonight. So again, I think there's the public hearing portion, and also comments from the developer that needs to be heard also.
My question was that, you answered one of them, but was everybody that was served within that radius all got notices? Were they properly served? That
Yes,
might be
we
a
did
question
have
for Jack.
a notice that from the certified list, that was a certified list of the people that the mailings went out to.
Okay. Gentlemen, you have anything?
Did that certified mailing notify the public, and in particular, the people on the list, the abstractor certificate of tonight's meeting?
Yes.
Thank you, Jack.
Anything for Chuck? No? Then we'll, thank you, Chuck. We'll open up the public hearing. Does anybody wish to come forward? In favor or opposed?
Somebody back.
Would you come up and give up to the podium and give us your name, please, sir?
Yeah, my name is Shane Pickett, and I live on P Street, 2115 P Street Southwest. And I was just kind of curious what if there's been any kind of study on what could happen to property values for single-family homes in the area because of this. And that's basically my main concern.
I'm not aware of any study of that kind, but
I don't think there's been any type of a formal study one way or another.
Gotcha. Okay.
There was a discussion about the issues before the Planning Commission on the 2 times that I recall they met to discuss the issue. And there were differing opinions raised, but no study.
Okay. So do they feel that it would hurt property values, or?
I haven't seen any data.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. That's my concern. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? I do have a couple of questions for Ms. Holliday, if you would come up, please. I'm sure I'm sorry I missed the first planning commission meeting. I was in on the second one, but on the storm shelter, how big is that, and how many is that for just the people in the duplex? I mean,
Originally, when we first made application, it was our intent to do the storm shelter within the community building. However, since that time, we decided that it would be more appropriate to put individual storm shelters within each unit.
Okay.
And they will be in the garage area, and they will be below ground. And however, there will be 6 ADA units that will have storm shelters above ground, and they will access it. It's just right next to the garage.
Okay. Y'all have anything?
And they would have to comply with FEMA regulations and size according to the number of people that can live in that household. So,
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, this may be helpful, and not to cut too much. If the council votes tonight to approve the rezoning, what I would anticipate you would then see would be a legal initiative to prepare what's called a plat, which means to formally map out the detailed nature of the proposed improvements. The size of the lots, the size of the streets, the location of easements, the setbacks, and so forth. And that will be another process that you would anticipate going through the Planning Commission and then back to the City Council. Ordinarily, there's a review for what we call preliminary plat approval, where a lot of these discussions can be revisited as to the specifics of the improvements. And then typically, when the improvements are completed, you would see a final plat approval. I simply wanted you and the public to know that there's another opportunity, actually set of opportunities, to discuss specific improvements. Not that it doesn't matter, it does matter, but technically the only thing being addressed tonight as a matter of law would be the rezoning. But I wanted you to know there will be further opportunities to review those details.
Okay.
and we do have a preliminary site plan that we used, that is to scale based on your current regulations, the current ordinances that are in place. I have copies of those if you would like them, but I don't want to.
I haven't been out in that area in a while. Is that area developed on that street at all?
Not
N
really.
is developed and P is developed, but O is the undeveloped parcel that lies between those two streets.
No utilities on site?
At the
Correct.
at 20th Street, yes, there are utilities. And then I guess at the south end of that, there are utilities.
There is sewer and electric. Water will have to be.
What gas? Is there any natural gas in the area?
Not that I know of.
No.
We haven't got anything located.
And these would be all electric.
Total electric?
Yes.
Brian?
No.
Mhm.
If something like this was to pass and be agreed upon, is this, do these get built in stages, or do they, you build one, you move somebody in, you build another, or how does this?
No, we would actually build the whole development at one time. So we are bound by some of the criteria from Oklahoma Housing Finance Authority, and we have to have them complete. They have to go through and make sure that we have met all of the guidelines. Your inspectors have to do the same, and so they are all done at one time.
Yeah, I can't speak to this particular one, but I can tell you that in Branson, I was involved with 3 of these. And basically, by the process that she is following, they have to do what they are showing you in order to be able to get the tax breaks and the tax credits that make this thing financially viable. So when you're looking at how these are going to look, how they're laid out, how they're managed, these are all governed by this process.
And again, you'll have an opportunity, if you proceed beyond tonight, you'll have the opportunity to review the preliminary and final plats. And you can really fine-tune your questioning, further opportunity to fine-tune your questioning at that point. Because again, you don't have to approve a plat.
But again, to point out, that tonight, what you're considering is the land use.
Right.
And that is the big question right now, is this a proper land use?
And if there's any other questions on for single family over there, they have more time to look into that.
I wouldn't want to say the answer to that was yes, Joe. I would say that the question tonight is the character of use, and that would be whether it's single family or multifamily.
Correct.
If the council were to vote to approve the ordinance to rezone, it would no longer be a question of single family or multifamily. It would be a question of the details.
Anything else?
No more questions.
I guess Travis or Chuck, since the last planning commission, have you got any responses, negative or pro?
No,
I guess
I haven't.
you haven't.
I obviously did.
Okay.
I believe you may have people here who had appeared in opposition before. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I don't know if they wish to speak or not. I certainly would want them to be encouraged to do so.
This is the time to do it if you want to speak.
And I will tell you that we did go door to door a week ago on Tuesday and gave a packet of information to all the residents, hand-delivered, either to them or in their mailbox. And we encouraged them to please show up whether they were in opposition or in favor of, just so you would know. So that both I and David Davis did that.
Jack, correct my memory, didn't you say you talked to a few people that was on that petition and they kind of changed their mind? Was that you was telling me that?
I went to a dinner the night before our initial hearing. And when they had the initial hearing the night before the dinner at Montana Mike's, and notice was given to everybody within 300 feet. 4 people showed up, and all 4 of them were against it when they walked in, and all 4 of them were for it when they left. So from that standpoint, and that's what I was told by Kim and David, because I stayed at the meeting, but I left early, and they said that basically they didn't have any problems. They were concerned about being low income. That was the major issue. And from the information that we gave to the Planning Commission, it's far from that.
And these 4 people were within the 300 feet. They were
Yes.
they were one of the. Okay.
Yes.
I'd like to point out this is not a new concept generally, and I'm sure you all know that. If you go into Ward 1, Oakwood Estates, extreme northeastern part of town, there's Oakwood Estates, which is single-family residences, nice residences. I've got one there. And just the street immediately to the north are duplexes built within the last 10 years, a couple of streets of them. While I can't speak for anybody else, I'm not aware of anybody that lives in that neighborhood that I live in that has ever voiced any complaints about problems with property value, maintenance, traffic. So the concept itself is certainly nothing new, but you know.
Anything else?
A couple of years ago, we went through this with Neosho Ridge.
Yeah.
If everybody remembers Neosho Ridge, everybody was against it. But once it's now been in place, it is a nice community. It has been really done quite nicely.
Yeah.
And I think that this is what we call, it's going to be equivalent to that.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you. Anything else?
I was just going to speak to the property value just to assure you, under this process, we will own and manage that complex for over 40 years. And by that, that means that we do all the maintenance, we do yard work, we keep the property up to date and in compliance, and they send inspectors annually to make sure that that property continues to be at the level that it is expected to be. So that is not something that you get when a neighbor moves in next to you that takes pride or doesn't take pride in their home. So just from that standpoint, we've never had anyone be opposed after it's been built and they have seen the level of maintenance and care that we put into that project because we own it. So, anyway.
The only thing I'm sorry, go ahead, Doug.
I'm just saying, this is development in Miami, and it's, I think it's great. You'll probably use some of our local contractors, I would think.
We will. Everything that we can buy locally, we do. This project, construction costs are about $6.5 million. They will be all electric.
For the city.
All of that is good for the city. You're in a location that I believe even draws from quite a few other communities, or people live here and they may work somewhere else. So based on our market study, we are at what they call a capture rate of 3.9. So of the, and I don't, forgive me if you know what that is. It's taken me a while to kind of learn what that means, but of the group that qualifies for our pool of housing, we only have to capture 3.9% of that group to fill these units. So if that helps you understand the need that you have in your community, so 4 out of 100 is basically what we're talking about of people that need quality, new, affordable housing. And by affordable, we're talking about a rent structure that is just shy of $500 up to just a few dollars over $700, based on whether it's a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, with a garage, 2 bathrooms. It has tile, laminate flooring, all new appliances. There's a community room that would service that complex for, it would have a play area, it would have a soccer field, and the community building would be available for all the people that live there. So if they wanted to have a potluck dinner for their church, if they wanted to have a birthday party and wanted to have some of their relatives or friends over, all they do is sign up to use the community room. I think there's a $100 deposit, which is then returned as long as there's no damage. There would be a fitness area inside there. So that's what we're talking about.
Ms. Holliday, I remember asking you at the planning commission if you had a on-site management. Have you thought about that since then, or?
I have, and the answer to your question is, had I known, had I had that question before I had submitted my legal notice to the paper, I would have identified one unit as a manager on site, but I did not. I said 100% of the units would be affordable. But what that does mean, and the way that Hamilton Properties, which it would be the management side of this, they will hire a local person that will be the manager. That person will be on site at the community room or community building. They're probably not going to be there 8 to 5, but there will be 3 to 4 days a week that they will be on site, and they will be making visits, and they will go in when there's maintenance scheduled for air conditioner filters to be replaced, and when exterminators come to go through, and then just another one that is scheduled just to inspect the property. So they will be someone from your community that knows the people here, and but no, there will not be a manager that actually lives in one of the units that we've identified specifically for that purpose.
Anything else, gentlemen? Dean, you have anything?
Motion.
Dave?
No, sir.
Any other comments out from the public? I make a motion to approve.
We gotta go out of public hearing first, don't we? We're doing.
Yes, sir.
Close the public
We'll
hearing.
go ahead and close the public meeting. I'm sorry, Joe.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Forrester.
Aye.
Item 22, emergency clause, if requested on the ordinance recommended by the planning commission to rezone the property at O Street Southwest and 20th Street Southwest from RS6 to RM2 for Four Corners development.
I believe you'd be told that the emergency would be the financing opportunities are time constrained by the applicant.
I believe she has to get the application in by Thursday at 4:30.
So for the public health, safety, and welfare, if you believe this is in the best interest of the community, I'd recommend that you pass an emergency clause.
Make a motion to pass emergency clause.
Second.
Weston,
Aye.
Forrester,
Aye.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye. Item 23, resolution supporting favorable consideration for a tax credit award for a new affordable housing addition, O Street Southwest for Four Corners development. Chuck?
Actually, Travis is going to take this.
Travis?
The Four Corners, they are required by OHFA, Oklahoma Housing Financial Agency. This is a step that is required to get a federal state tax credit. This is in no way a municipal credit. We're not offering donations of materials, labor, waiving fees, anything like that. We're just basically in support of the consideration for their federal state tax credit.
This resolution is something they can stick in their file, and if they make an application to a government agency asking for funds, that agency then knows officially that you're not opposed to the project.
Right.
And knowing that you're not opposed to the project, the perception is they might receive more favorable treatment.
Well, actually, I believe you have to have a favorable.
They do.
Yeah, this is a requirement for
Okay.
them.
And it does expire after 1 year if that.
But as Travis said, and for the public's information, passing this resolution doesn't mean that the project is now receiving some favorable tax treatment by the city. It does not mean that at all.
Correct.
Not.
We're not financially liable for this whatsoever.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Forrester,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye. I want to thank the planning commission. They've done a pretty thorough job on this, and they spent a lot of time investing in this, and they've done a good job. I just want to commend them for the job they've done. 24,
Neil.
yes, sir.
May I be excused?
You really didn't have to come, but go ahead.
Thank you.
Recommendation of staff, you want to,
I would ask that on both items 24 and 25, you reschedule that to our next meeting.
okay? So we don't need a vote, we just ask you to put it on the next meeting?
I'd just like to put it on the next meeting. Yes, thank you.
I'm actually out of agenda, no, I'm not.
You're not done yet.
26, update on Peoria Ridge Sanitary Sewer. Chuck?
Just want to provide an update on the project. They're still continuing to, they have the force main completed out there. They're starting to work on the lift stations. Back in November, City Manager Dean and I met with representatives from the Peoria tribe and outlined some of the conditions of the sanitary sewer, and those meeting minutes were drafted and conveyed to them, and they are reviewing those. They've got thumbs up, but they have not given us written comment back. I talked to the representatives last week, and they said they would be getting that to us. Also, he wanted to bring to our attention that part of the project included rock excavation that was above and beyond the $170,000 that we had preliminarily talked about, and he was going to present final numbers and also concurrence with our meeting that we had with them. So Again, just an update at this point in time. I expect comment back from them as soon as we get that of concurrence of our meeting. Anticipate the city attorney will draw up the formal agreement for your approval.
There will be a lot of discussions to be held that will be appropriate to determine the terms of the agreement, but I don't think it'll take all that long.
I have no questions. Chuck, anybody have any?
I would just like to thank Chuck and thank Public Works, because this was something that probably would have been happening if the Peoria tribe just proceeded, but by our working with them, which is very important that we're working with them, that's going to be able to provide additional city services to that entire area of the community. And I think from a future orientation and future growth orientation, it's very good planning. And I think it was very good that they brought that up. And I think, again, I think we have a general concept on how it would work. It's just the devil's always in the details, and we're going to work that out. But I think it's good, you know, for the tribal governance, and I think it's going to be good for the future of Miami.
Anything else, Joe, Doug? Item 28, update on railroad safety funding program requiring an exiting crossing to be closed. That's you again, Chuck.
Thank you. As you recall, back in September, City Council was presented with the opportunity to utilizing federal funds that would cover 90% of the cost of the project at BJ Tunnel and H Street to put up gates at that intersection. The city's portion of that is 10%, or $35,000 for the $350,000 project. The same funding safety program also has some funding opportunities if the city decides to close an existing crossing, actually close traffic to that they will pay for not only that 100% of the cost of that crossing, but 2 other crossings that we selected. City staff had was looking at 2nd Avenue Southeast. We had a public meeting. We invited the public to comment on the closing of that crossing, and we also received comment from a local business owner that would be detrimental to their business. With that comment, city staff is pulling back of moving forward with that recommendation for closing that crossing. However, in our meetings, there was another crossing that was brought up as a potential. Again, we're not under any obligation to close any crossings. We want to, if there is any out there that makes sense, the crossing, take advantage of this federal opportunity for the funding. The other crossing that was mentioned was 4th Avenue Southeast. Staff's proposal to bring this before the Planning Commission, have them make recommendation to the City Council, and then bring it to the City Council, both meetings having a public hearing. So I'm just updating you tonight that staff is still considering closing one of the crossings. Again, this is, we're bringing up the opportunity, and part of why I'm bringing this up is so the public knows about it, and they can comment about it. And like I said, we don't have to move forward with this, but if this is an option, we can take advantage of some funding. We would get some additional crossings. So that's it.
Chuck, do you know when that Planning Commission meeting is in February? You know? Do they have a set date?
Yes, they do.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
And then we'll give public notice in advance of that meeting, so the public will be aware of that meeting. That's it.
Okay. Anything? Yeah, Chuck, I'm going to go back to 27 since I skipped over it. Comprehensive plan update and committee appointments presentation. Thank you, Joe.
In your packets tonight is an outline from our consultant on the comprehensive plan, going through the process. And part of this process, what really outlines in here, I want to make point tonight, is the importance of public input in the development of this plan. As been talked in the past, it's not the city staff's plan. This is really a community plan, and city staff is working with the council at this point in time to develop the steering committee, and this steering committee is comprised of a broad range of representatives from the community that will be heavily involved with this plan. We expect that committee to be at the next city council, hopefully a formal appointment of those members, and then in February, probably later February, of actually having start meetings with that steering committee and other groups.
I'm excited about the plan. It's long overdue. I think we have a lot of community involvement, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good.
I think the key thing we have to work on is getting people to understand what this is all about, the importance of it. We call it a community plan, and a lot of times people think we just have something that puts on a shelf, but this should have basically threads that run through all of our city operations, our plannings, where we, the budgetary decisions and personnel decisions that we make, as well as working with our community to define what makes us a better community and then put it into place. It's what I've been talking about for my first 2 months here.
Yeah.
And this is going to be critical for our future. We need to do it right.
Yeah, I agree. It's very nice. Anything, guys? Brian?
No, I just encourage, if there's anybody out there that wants to be involved with this, to get a hold of one of
Exactly.
council members. It's be a part of it.
Very much.
Thank you, Brian. Did I miss anything else? No? 29, other new business. Dean, you have anything?
I have nothing at this point.
Okay. Staff reports. You guys have questions for the staff? If not, mayor and council community announcements. Have nothing? You?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Item 32, executive session. Have a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Forrester,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye. Let's take 5 minutes.
You're on.
We're out of executive session at 7:41. Item 33, direct the city attorney to proceed. Is that what we need to do?
That's our recommendation, sir.
Okay.
I make that motion to direct the city attorney to proceed.
Okay. We have a second?
Second.
Forrester,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye. Item 34, direction to city attorney concerning activate church claim. We need a motion to.
I'd recommend the same motion from the previous item.
Make a motion, direct the city attorney.
Second.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Forrester,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye. Item 34, direction to city attorney concerning purchase of real property. Motion to direct city attorney. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Johnson,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Forrester,
Aye.
Item 36, city manager Dean Crudos's communications.
I have none at this time.
Okay. 37, future agenda planning. Nothing?
Nothing at this point.
Nothing, Mike? Okay. 38, adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Forrester,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Sharbit,
Aye.
Johnson.